Occult Macabre, a phantasmagoric guide to pop culture's dark side. I'm Lee.
And I'm Richie.
And today we are talking about a cryptid called the Rougarou.
AKA the Lougarou.
Ruh-roh, Raggy, it's the Rougarou. I'm sorry.
Why?
That's been baking in my head all day.
Ruh-roh, Raggy, it's the Rougarou. Ruby Rougarou. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the Rougarou, and it is based here in Louisiana, but it also has its origins in France, medieval France to be exact.
All right, Reggie. So as a Louisiana native, I feel like you should kick us off in talking to us about the Rougarou, our swamp werewolf.
I think swamp werewolf or just swamp wolf in general would be like a much cooler cryptid name, because like Rougarou almost sounds like a parody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it.
But anyway, it's a Creole creature, and in La Reunion, basically, it is a female dog chained to its puppies, creating an unbearable sound as it stalks the night, which inhabitants of the swamp areas would still claim to hear these days.
An unbearable sound.
Unbearable.
There's a lot of sounds that are unbearable.
I'm wondering exactly what that unbearable sound is, because anybody out there that can stand certain sounds, it may be it may be annoying to somebody else that can't stand it.
Right.
Any fucking way. Garou, as he would, appeared in the late 12th century. This is all in France, mind you, like in medieval France, before it made its way to Louisiana. So beginning in the 15th century, there were large-scale witch trials that lasted 300 years, and it included suspected Lougarous as the perpetrators. So it's a really strange tie-in, like if you want to get into just like monster folklore and like cryptids and, just like what we know about witches, historically. It's interesting that this is a thing, right? So most of the victims of these attacks were targeted for their nature-based healing, pagan practices, or any kind of other habits that were suspected as like demonic, supernatural, or unusual.
The pagans are always getting screwed over in these situations.
I'm telling you. I'm fucking telling you.
And from what I understand, there's like a couple different things that can, quote, create a Rougarou. I have read that it can be someone who does something awful and it transforms them, or it could be like the full moon shtick of the typical American werewolf or whatnot. So I'm wondering under what circumstances these people were tried by their fellow inhabitants.
Well, there were more than 30,000 executions of those thought to be Lougarous or witches in France between 1520 and 1630.
Jesus. That's not even a huge period of time, really.
Right. There was a guy, and I'm going to fuck his name up, and I don't care, Henry Bouguet, or Bouget, of the Protestant Catholic Reformation movement in the 1500s. He had a book and had several accounts of the Lougarous that he condemned in this book, as well as like his views on lycanthropy. It's, obviously that's the condition where people believe they can turn into a wolf or another animal. But in 1521, Pierre Burgot, a French shepherd, confessed that a passerby promised to protect his flock during a storm, but only if Burgot renounced the church and professed his faith to a demon. Later, during a warlock ritual, he met Michel Verdun, who had previously been bitten by a wolf, and during the ritual, they were anointed with an ointment which allowed their limbs to grow hair like that of a wolf. And Burgot had also confessed to the crime of having pursued and attacked children, so coincidentally, both he and Verdun were burned at the stake for this.
Bro offered another homie some Rogaine and burned for it.
Some Rougarogaine?
Some Rougarogaine?
Yeah. Bro, I need that Rougarogaine.
Here, go kick a kid real quick. You got to go down for both.
Right. But as we get from France to French Canada to Louisiana, as the French were making their way to Canada, the Catholic Church were still being held sway. And with that, the Rougarou legend to incite good Catholics to take Lent seriously.
Ah, okay.
So their version was kind of mixed with the local Native American inhabitants' version, the Wendigo.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
where the immorality breeds the beast, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So depending on that, the animal varies from wolf to dog to owl to cow to pig. So that's...
I did find some like avian-based ones too, which surprised me because I'd never seen that depiction before.
Right, but if you actually like look at a lot of the artwork, like owls are very like much prevalent in some of those art pieces.
For sure.
But like today, a lot of people claim to see the real life cryptid wandering around like French Canada and then like swamps here in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. Eastern Louisiana?
Like, yeah, like southeast. It's more like South New Orleans, that
closer to NOLA. Okay.
Yeah. And just for the record, everybody, and I think it's hilarious, everybody that's like, oh, you live in Louisiana, you're from New Orleans, right? Like, no, dude, everywhere in Louisiana is New Orleans to anybody that is not here. But that's like simply not true. However, most of this lore is in the southeastern Louisiana area, which is true considering Houma, Louisiana is kind of near there. And in Houma, there's a free festival in October to commemorate the creature.
Ooh. That might be something for us to do this year.
It's called Rougarou Fest.
Love that.
Yeah. So every time they do it, all the proceeds go to the South Louisiana Wetlands Discovery Center. There's a lot of children's books about it, and there's one called Rougarou Stew. We have fun with it down here, guys. Come on now.
I had a really good time when we were prepping for this episode at my workplace. I ended up going to a bunch of my coworkers and asking them if they were familiar with the Rougarou or what they had heard about the Rougarou being natives to the area and whatnot. And hands down, like the number one thing that they all repeatedly said was they were told as a kid by their parents if they misbehaved, a Rougarou would crawl out of the swamp and come and take them away. That cracked me up.
Well, here's another little fun fact. And this is, obviously legend says, or like folklore, or, whoever you hear this tale from. If you're bit, don't tell anyone or you'll turn into a Rougarou yourself. But for extra security, lay 13 small objects by your house's entrance because the Rougarou cannot count higher than 12 and it will become confused and not be able to enter your house.
One more thing confuses it. Like if it's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it sees one more and it's like,
Yeah. Ruh-roh, I'm Rouga-screwed.
There's a lot of folklore that involves like this creature cannot pass XYZ or cannot do XYZ until it counts whatever thing. Like I can't for the life of me remember what creature it is, but I know one of them is sugar. It's not leprechauns, isn't? I can't remember, but I like how they all have like a thing.
I guess I should say like why it's called the Rougarou, and that's basically because with the migration, all the legends were starting to change to match the times and the dialect. And since Cajun dialect is kind of French and English mixed, it's well known for changing words completely to roll off the tongue easier. So the name of the beast went from Lougarou to Rougarou, also spelled ROUX-GA-ROUX. I know. I'm
not even gonna say anything.
No, I already know because you fuck with us down here for putting like EAUX on literally everything.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't familiar with the South in that regard, I have a laugh every time we go out in public because inevitably we'll pass something that spells like for instance, it's like, normally in Ohio we'd say go Buckeyes, but it's not G-O Buckeyes, it's G-E-A-U-X. And they do that for go, slow, pro, like fucking everything. I saw potato spelled that way on a restaurant window.
You know what's really fun that I like to do just to fuck with people? I say gokes.
Gokes?
Yeah, I put infamous on the oaks.
Why does that sound like a slur?
Oh my God. It's not. Don't make something out of nothing, you asshole. Voodooks. I mean, like, the EAUX goes all the ways.
Oh, it's very versatile.
Right. But anyway, back to the Rougarou, as it were. Cajun legend says that the beast hunts down Catholics that don't follow the rules of Lent. And another telling of this story says that the Rougarou is under a 101-day curse unless the affected person can transfer the curse to another human being, and their curse usually comes from a local witch, sometimes a voodoo priestess.
So is it like passed by biting somebody?
Something like that. So there's like a lot of different ways you can pass it on. Like there are certain tales where it's passed through a blood pact or a scratch. So I wouldn't doubt that a bite would probably do the trick. If someone encounters the Rougarou and manages to draw blood, they're also cursed to transform into the creature as well. At the end of their time as the beast, the curse is transferred to somebody else, creating a cycle of suffering and transformation, and it apparently can never be broken.
I was able to find a list of recent sightings of the Rougarou.
Let's hear them.
So in 2016 in Houma, Louisiana, a video of a large dark figure with glowing eyes walking through a neighborhood was posted online. This sighting got so much traction that it was featured on the travel channels Into the Unknown and in the 2021 documentary The Howl of the Rougarou. In the marshlands near Terrebonne Parish, some say they've heard the Rougarou's low, bone-chilling howl in the deep of the night, and there are some recordings of this sound clip. And also driving down the highway I-49, One person said they saw a creature that ran so fast across the highway that it was almost like a creature from Scooby-Doo. Ruh-roh, Rougarou.
God damn it.
We've come full circle.
Rougarou, what the fuck are you?
It was described as having a large muscular body, sharp teeth and claws, and glowing eyes. The body was described as human-esque with the hair of a wolf or shaggy dog. There are a lot of groups around here that do believe in the legend and continue to search for evidence to this day. But I would say I was able to pull up some small amount of information off RagingCajunBoatTours.com. And they said that they have taken over 115,000 airboat tours and have not seen a Rougarou yet.
Oh, son of a bitch.
The day has yet to come.
Maybe that's what's going to happen when we go. If we go,
I would love that.
Maybe we'll fucking see it.
I'm sure there are people who specialize specifically in Rougarou hunts, and I would love so much to be a part
Why
of that.
would I fucking picture our friend Devin doing this shit?
Oh, Devin would be so great to do that with, honestly.
I mean, he wants to go hunt Bigfoot.
Okay, so for a little bit of background, I love Devin. And when I first met Devin in person, the very first thing he said to me before asking me about myself or telling me anything about him was, I have a very serious question for you. And I was like, all right, man, what's up? And he goes, do you or do you not believe in the existence of Bigfoot? And I was like, what a stunning opener. Absolutely, I do. Let's have a conversation, man.
Yeah, and for those of you out there, if you don't know, Devin is one of my very best friends and my co-host for my former podcast. So, like, the guy comes around quite often, and we have conversations of this nature. So, I think he would be fun to go try to hunt one of these fuckers with. I
would love that. That would be a blast.
So, there's also modern interpretations, such as shape-shifting abilities, while most legends portray the Rougarou as transforming into a wolf. Like I mentioned earlier, other versions would suggest that it can include pigs, owls, or even cats.
Oh, okay.
Right. They also have similarities to skinwalkers.
Oh, okay. What similarities do they share?
So in some of the stories, its ability to change shape and its connection to curses draws comparisons, obviously, like from the Wendigo. Also, both of those creatures are believed to be cursed individuals that can shift between human and animal form. But again, Rougarou is based more in Cajun culture rather than the Native American tradition. And the Rougarou being connected to the Catholic Church, like I mentioned earlier, priests would remind their congregations that failing to observe the holy period would lead to the curse. That's that fucking Catholic guilt, man.
They were just begging for something else to be punishing them.
You're gonna be a wolf.
You curse now, bitch.
That's it.
Would you like to hear a word-for-word encounter with a local who claims to have seen the Rougarou?
Absolutely, I would.
All right, so this is posted on our Cryptids 3 years ago. It looks like the original poster has since deleted their account, so I don't have anyone to credit for it, unfortunately. But here we go. It's titled My Encounter with a Rougarou, aka Louisiana Werewolf. So this happened to me a few years ago. I was visiting a friend's house in the Houston River area. That section of the river is pretty swampy, so we were frog hunting at night. It was a full moon, so it made spotting the bullfrogs easier. Super tasty, by the way. Anyway, we're wandering down by the riverbank when we heard a sound. All went quiet. Not even the crickets chirped. We heard dozens of frogs dive into the water. We knew then that something was very wrong. Then came a distant growl, like something dark and evil, from the other side of the river. We killed our Q-beam spotlight and watched in the direction of the sound. What I saw chilled me to the bone. It was a massive wolf with patchy black fur, yet no visible skin on its head, only a skull with empty eyes. It appeared to be locked onto other prey, so we quickly shut our lights off and watched for a moment. Looking back, it was really stupid to not flee right then. It ran back into the woods and started running down the river, and we decided to dip out and get as far away as possible. Just quick little snappy little tidbit. But if I were anywhere at night, especially in a swamp, for anyone who knows me personally, I have a lot of weird water phobias, and the crocodiles and alligators do it for me enough. But if I saw something like that in the middle of the night, staring across me from across the swamp, I'm pissing myself right then and there.
So here's a fun fact about the two parishes. Like, okay, so there's a ton of parishes in Louisiana, by the way. For those of you out there listening, we don't have counties in Louisiana, we have parishes.
Mm-hmm.
The parish that we live in, Calcasieu, is actually considered unsuitable for the Rougarou to inhabit.
Really?
Yes. And most of the South, and this is what I think is wild, because like most of the southeastern region of Louisiana is actually considered, quote, moderately suitable. And there are certain areas that are uninhabitable for it completely. However, the parish, Cameron Parish, which is directly south of us, is highly suitable. So you'd probably be more apt to find one of these creatures an hour south from us.
Sure.
I just think it's kind of interesting to see like a population density by parish where these things could be considered like, oh, this is suitable. And most of middle Louisiana is just suitable, not highly suitable, but just a little bit. It's like if you're trying to sell one of these guys a home for like, I don't know, the summer, it's like, hey, buddy,
this bad boy can fit so many goddamn Rougaroos in it.
Yeah, I know, slaps Louisiana. It could fit so many swampy boys in it.
Swampy boys. That's gonna be what I call them from now on.
What, swampy boys?
Swampy boys.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think this is a fun cryptid just because it's like got some different, origin kind of shit from what we know as like, typical werewolf.
Yeah. It's a fun little deviation from the norm while still being somewhat familiar.
Right. Have any of you out there listening ever heard of this before? I want to know that. Like, so if you've ever heard of the Rougarou, and I don't mean like the werewolf, I mean like this particular incarnation.
Southern brand.
Yeah. If you heard that old Southern wolf swampy bitch, go ahead and leave you a comment in the show notes area below the podcast. It's like I'm doing my very best. I'm from here and I still can't properly make fun of us.
No matter how easy they make it for themselves.
I'm telling you.
But yes, please, if you've had an experience, someone who's had an experience, or you just have a good creepy story for us involving the Rougarou, let us know in the comments below or on the episode. We would be so excited to hear that.
I will say, though, that, like, tragically, many of the swamps that helped shape Cajun culture and inspire stories of the Rougarou have actually been cut off from the Mississippi River that once built and maintained them. Like, river levees that were there for flood protection and navigation have kind of starved the swamp areas of, like, flowing water and leaving trees and stagnant water that's too deep for new trees to grow. And it makes it kind of vulnerable to rising sea levels and storms that bring in salt water. So it kind of fucks up the freshwater ecosystem. So even if like this was a thing that was out there, that's why most of the area that I was mentioning earlier that was just not habitable anymore, it used to be.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, so not to get, like too like, ecosystem, conversational here, but I mean like that's a thing, if it's not just fucking up our shit, man, you fucking up the friendly story, campfire story creatures.
Yeah,
homes,
guys,
man.
Save the swamp for the Rougarous. Damn. That's a good reason to be an environmentalist. Save the cryptids.
Yeah.
I think a fun little tidbit that I think I mentioned when we were looking up information about this creature too is the NBA team, formerly known as the New Orleans Hornets, filed for several new name trademarks a while back, including the Rougarous.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Like when we gained the Hornets from Charlotte, which I think is wild that we even just, decided, hey, we're going to keep the Hornets name, or the Pelicans now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun. It's a state bird.
Yeah.
It's a burb.
It's burb.
However,
burb good.
Yeah, burb good. It would be fun though if we had a hockey team and they were the Rougarous. Like that's like fuck you up on the ice. Man.
I like that. Yeah, it's more aggressive sounding.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We'll leave you off with this though, like because we're getting off on tangent here. I will say one thing that I thought is really cool about coming from our last season to this season, kicking it off with the Rougarou. Last season we ended it with our discussion of the Robert Eggers film Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
As of this recording, Robert Eggers' next movie is actually going to be titled Werewolf because he's writing a movie about a werewolf.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Same. So like it was kind of neat. Be like, okay, we left off with one like mythical creature or being, and going into this cryptid, it was like, oh shit, there's that little connection there. That's fun.
I like it. We'll come full circle back to Eggers.
So if you would like to come hang out with us next time, we're going to be dropping an episode on My Bloody Valentine 2009. It's the remake of the 1981 film of the same name, so definitely come back and hang out with us for that. For past, present, and future episodes of Cult Macabre, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. You can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a rating and comment on individual episodes on Spotify. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell for notifications, leaving a like on the video, or leaving a comment down below. Any engagement helps us. If you would like to follow us on social media, all of this can be found in our Linktree link in the show notes below.
And if you'd like to join us for more of pop culture's dark side, sign the Black Book and join the cult.
I'm Richie.
And I'm Lee.
We'll see you next time.